South Korea has more islands than Greece. Over 3,000 of them, scattered like emeralds across its southern and western coasts. I've been exploring them, especially by kayak, and the footage you're about to see is from my own trips. So where are the other 3,000 islands, and what happens when you actually go there? Here's the thing about Korean islands, they're not hiding at all. They're right there on the map, clustered so densely in the southwestern waters that cartographers struggle to label them all. The region is called Dadohae, which translates to Sea of Many Islands. It's one of the most island-dense marine zones on Earth. What you're seeing in this video is a mix of places I've visited, from Jeju and Ulleungdo to smaller islands most people have never heard of. Unlike the Greek islands with their whitewashed villages and international ferry routes, most Korean islands remain stubbornly off the tourist radar. Why? Because Korea's modern identity got built on speed. Islands, by definition, slow you down. You wait for ferries. You walk narrow paths. For decades, Koreans themselves saw these islands as relics of a harder past. Jeju became the exception because it had an airport and a rebranding campaign. But the rest stayed quiet. Until recently. Young Koreans started seeking slow travel. And suddenly, these forgotten islands had something precious, authenticity that hadn't been designed for Instagram. A lot of what I've filmed comes from kayak trips. When you paddle to an island that has no regular ferry, you're seeing it the way almost no one else does. The kind of ferry that serves these places carries a few cars, some motorcycles, boxes of produce, and maybe 20 passengers on a Tuesday morning. Schedules bend around tides and weather. On the boat, you sit on heated floors, surrounded by ajumas with plastic bags of homegrown garlic and fishermen in rubber boots. Then you land, unpack your kayak or rent one locally, and suddenly you have access to uninhabited coves and coastlines that tour boats never reach. Some of the clips you're seeing are from islands like Jeju, Jeju, and smaller spots where the only way in is by small boat or paddle. You learn to read the water. You learn to wait for the right tide. The ferry forces you into island time before you even arrive, and the kayak takes you one step further, into places that don't appear on any day trip itinerary. Then there are islands like Ulleungdo, which break all the rules. It's not in the southern archipelago. It sits alone in the East Sea, a volcanic peak rising straight out of deep water, 200 kilometers from the mainland. The ferry takes 3 hours in good weather, and in bad weather it doesn't go at all. You might get stranded for days. This isolation made Ulleungdo strange and wonderful. I've been there, the footage of dramatic cliffs and that deep blue water is from my own trip. The island has its own dialect, its own cuisine, its own rhythm. People here don't commute. The island is the whole universe, and everything else is the mainland. In a hyper-connected country where you can order fried chicken to a hiking trail, Ulleungdo remains genuinely remote. The ferry schedule still dictates life. The weather still wins. And that's exactly what makes it worth the journey. Korea's islands aren't hidden because they're secret. They're hidden because they demand something modern travel rarely asks for: patience. The willingness to wait for a ferry. To move at the speed of a paddle. To let the place set the pace. Jeju became famous by becoming convenient. But these other islands, the ones you've never heard of, stayed themselves. And now, in a world exhausted by convenience, that's exactly what makes them extraordinary. This is the start of a new series. I'll be introducing you to different Korean islands from my travels, especially the ones I've explored by kayak. First up is Ulleungdo, the Red Island, a place where the ferry dictates life and the cliffs turn crimson at sunset. If you want to see Korea beyond the guidebook, subscribe and look forward to the next episode. See you there.